Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ron Underwood from 9Electric, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour, baby.
The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather. As always, I'm bringing you guys awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome back Mr. Ron Underwood. He is the vocalist of 9Electric. 9Electric will release their new album, Megalith, via Pavement Entertainment on March 29th. And this album was about pretty much getting back to the basics. We're going to be talking to him about all this stuff. And also, new single with Carla Harvey. You may know her from the Butcher Babies, entitled The Light. That's available now, so you want to pick that up. So, Ron, my friend, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, the Bod. It's good to be back. It's good to hear you.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you got some good shit out there now.
Dude, I'm so stoked on this album. I know everyone talks about our new stuff's way better than the old stuff, or you know what I mean? It's almost like some obligation. They have to pat themselves on the back. But with that said, I feel like this is the strongest music that I've ever put out, production-wise, meaning-wise, the soul behind it, and just the approach. I'm just really happy with it. Working with Carla, she was amazing in the studio, and Carla from Butcher Babies, for anyone tuning back in or right in, we toured with them for a while and had played. We all kind of came up together on the Sunset Strip. So it was a nice natural progression to say, hey, do you have some free time? Are you interested in this track? Can you see what you would want to do with it? And she was completely all in, just, from the get-go. It was really nice. It's not like we had to trick her into working on it or anything like that. And I had wanted to work with her in the past because I actually was directing a music video that she was in, that Vices, my friends in Vices hired me to direct. So she played this kind of scary character in the music video, and I was like, man, she's so easygoing, so easy to work with. I felt like it was just an eventual thing that we would lay down some tunes together, and I'm glad that it worked out when it did. It was just great timing. She left the day, I think maybe that night after we first laid down some stuff, she left for their Russian tour, and then almost immediately when she got back into the U.S., she finished up some of the wrap-up stuff like harmonies and things like that, and it was great. I'm so stoked. And then the video, we just put this video out, which is kind of like a it's a live action video, but I did a lot of animation, and I really I had no idea what I was doing, but I had some, kind of comic book superhero ideas, and it turned out really cool. I'm really happy with it. So check out the video for The Light when you can. You.
And think about it, Carla and the Butcher Babies, Heidi, they've came a long way from where they started till now.
Yeah, I mean, it was a natural progression. Obviously, they started out, it was kind of just a live spectacle, and they knew, hey, let's just hit people right over the head with this crazy live show. And then, it was just a matter of them going, okay, how are we going to get the band to grow? And it's so crazy that they started out on the Sunset Strip, and now they're, selling out international tours type thing. It's really cool to see the progress of people that and I knew them when, and it's exciting to see, so many of our friends, it's such a cool time to be in LA. And I really feel like it is the end of an era. I think the Sunset Strip's days are limited. And I feel like we got really lucky to have a last hurrah. Like, you know, all the bigger companies are buying up the venues. Like, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this exactly, but you know, the owner, the family that owned the Roxy, the dude was getting older, and it was kind of time to just pass it on. And obviously, it was no longer going to be a mom and pop commodity. So I think Clear Channel might have bought it up. So now you're only seeing bigger build bands coming through the Roxy. There's no more local bands. There's no more development happening on Sunset Strip. It's all kind of like you've already arrived and they'll let you in. So I feel lucky that I was part of the seed where you could see these up and comers kind of work their acts out, you know what I mean, and grow. Yeah. So I'm curious to see where that's going to move to. Maybe it'll come to Kentucky. Who knows?
But
there's going to be there's going to be some scene that you know pops up and kind of wows the world again. It always will. Kids will figure it out, and I'm just happy that we were a part of that last hurrah. And you know what? Hopefully, guess what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Sunset Strip will bounce back, or they'll just be a new. You know, I can't really say never or whatever, but it's just feeling that way. Like they're knocking down a bunch of buildings. House of Blues is gone, and they're making way for like high-rise apartments, and they're doing that whole gentrification thing. And I get it, business is business, but it's kind of fun to see kids fight back and you know, see what real floats to the top.
That's sad, man. I mean, because I've always said once you stop growing, that's it. It's over. You're done.
yeah.
That's sad.
So we got to reinfuse. We got to inspire. We got to reinfuse. Like you being a curator of a cool show, always sharing interesting things. Like you're doing your contribution.
Yep.
And it's really cool. It's really cool to talk to people, artists, curators of art, just anyone who's willing to contribute their own time and love into this. It's you know, keep the community alive. So thank you, dude.
Hey, no problem, man. I love this. I go to work I go to my shitty job at work that I actually get paid for, which I hate with a passion. And I come home and do interviews, and this is my escape. This is my relaxation, as I should say.
You're a good man. One of my favorite Lennon songs is "Working Class Hero," man. That shit brings me to tears. But it's true. Everything he's saying is the real deal, and you know, the common man's fight. And but what else would we be doing? You know what I mean? Yeah. I think ultimately, like, not to get too deep on the radio, but I think we're all here by choice, and I think that we make it whatever we choose. You know what I mean? Like, we can make it as shitty or as good as we want. Obviously, there's limitations to how good we can make it, but so much of it is our attitude. And the difficult part, I think, is deciding what that meaning is going to be. Like, what does it all mean? You know, and the tricky thing, the catch-22, is it is up to you. And I think that we mislead ourselves sometimes, and we go down the dark side or the dark attitude. And yeah, man. So I think back to the contribution thing as an artist, it's like if I wanted to make a bunch of money, I would go and get a job that, you know, is stressful and not me and doesn't feed my soul. And that's fine and good, but at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself as that soul, as that expression of a person. And so I feel like you choose the path where you can be who you really are. And, you know, like, for the love of music, for the love of art, for the love of horror movies, whatever it is, those things that, like, really make you resonate. I don't know, man. I like being an artist. I really do.
Are there any songs standing out more to you than any right now possible on the new album, Ron? I know this is like picking your favorite child.
Yeah.
Or...
There's definitely, I'm really happy. Like, there's a lot of strong stuff on the album, and we recorded it with this amazing producer in Las Vegas who worked with like Five Finger Death Punch, In This Moment, a bunch of hard hitters, you know, like hard music, well-known people. His name is Sean McGee, and he was an engineer on like a lot of those big records. And then he broke off on his own. He was working with the production team, like the Churkos, which is like a father and a son, Kevin and Kane. Anyway, so he broke off on his own, and we were one of the first bands that he did like an entire album with. So these group of songs, and actually we actually have an EP out too that we recorded with him. We worked so fast that I think I'll put it this way. We were going to do like maybe 1 or 2 demos just to see if any record labels would take an interest, because we were done with the last tour cycle. Our original drummer, who was also our main producer, Micah, he left the band and wanted to do like some more pop and dance stuff. And so we were just like, let's restart the band. Let's go back to our roots. It's the remaining members were Ginny, me, and Mikey. So let's take it back to the rock roots. Obviously, when you only have like a guitar and a bass player and a singer, you're gonna probably write a lot of guitar riffs, or you know what I mean. It's just gonna be a different writing approach than if you're more of a producer behind a computer, and the songs are really laid down like with the backbone of the drums and then keyboards to be the starting point. Anyway, so the process went so quick. We went out to Vegas, me and Mikey primarily, just to see what we could do with Sean. And by the time we were ready to leave that weekend, I think we had cut 5 songs. And I'm talking, I've never written lyrics like this. Like, it was just from no concept to I have a fully realized thing. And pretty much the entire album and EP were done that way. It was like, I've got no preconceived notions. I don't want to rehearse any thoughts. I have some intentions. I have some general things I want to talk about, like theme-wise, but it was like, let's just see what we get out of this. And it was such a cool process, and we couldn't have done it without Sean. It was just a great, amazing team. And I think by the time our manager got back from a cruise, we had like an album, and he was like, what the hell did you guys do? what did you guys do? It was funny because it was kind of an issue. We hadn't even worked out like the payment thing or anything with like the producer things. And he was like worried, well, this is going to be like, what's going to happen? We got to worry about, and we're like, dude, we got this album. Like, we'll work out the rest. Don't worry about it. It's all in good faith, but whatever it is, we all have a hell of a value in our hands right now. So
that's funny. It's all good,
bro.
Cuz. It's all good, cuz. We got it.
Exactly.
So working with Sean, man, do you feel like he brought more things out of each of you working with him, you think?
That's always what a good producer is going to do. They're going to see where your strengths are, and they're going to underline that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And obviously, I can say without any question, he did that for me as a vocalist and me as a writer, because he's such a good engineer, but he's also an idea guy because he's a musician himself, and he's got a really cool band that he's working on right now, which I don't think I'm able to talk about just yet, but you know, I'll give you a heads up actually just on a personal note when I do get the green light about it.
Sure.
Anyways, he's such a efficient engineer. When you have an idea, he knew how to capture it without me having to, you know, lose that moment or that vibe or whatever. And so it was literally for the first time I wasn't dreading going into that booth and going into some tortured part of my soul. It was kind of like, I know what I need to do. I trust this guy is going to get the right thing, and I'm not going to like have a moment that gets lost in the abyss of time, or you know what I mean? Those kinds of things. Just like, he's going to capture it. I'm going to do it. And we're going to kind of grow and learn together. And that's really what it was. It was just, my only fear is that we won't be able to recreate this kind of a situation ever again. That would be, you know, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the one and only time, but I feel really grateful. It just worked really well.
What do you hope everyone takes away from this new album, or message you hope they hear while listening to it, or just any of 9Electric's music in general, Ron? What do you hope to get from it?
This time around, there was a lot more introspection on the record. There was a lot more, like I have a lot of kind of strange obsessions. Like ever since I was a kid, I was really interested in archaeology, ancient history, and all these things that you start dredging up when you ask questions like, like how the hell were the pyramids built? Or, you know what I mean? Just all, like how do things work in general? You know what I mean? Coming from like the scientific intrigue of it. But I've also been really interested, speaking of horror movies and things like that earlier with you, I've always been into the paranormal, and I've always been into science. And I feel like we're in an era where science is actually kind of coinciding with the paranormal. The things that we're able to peer into seem like like 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, seem like it's complete ludicrous pseudoscience, are now, like we're able to unify a bunch of different theories into something that we just never even, basically, the more we learn scientifically and the more hard facts, like quote, the more hard facts we look into and are able to measure that smaller and smaller degree, we realize, well, maybe the ancient Eastern philosophies were actually just telling us exactly like it is,
Exactly.
And it's a weird time where those two disciplines are finally, spread thousands and thousands of years are kind of coinciding, and we're able to go, oh, that's what they meant by that. So yeah, there are aspects of quantum theory that are explained in like ancient Eastern philosophies. It's a crazy time we live in. That said, I guess I'm kind of touching on a lot of those things in the lyrics, and a lot of personal introspection, much more spirituality, and just dealing with things that are more of a subtle nature, not so much of the physical nature, which was a lot of the stuff on the earlier music of 9Electric. It was much more that bass, like primal. And I think now, ironically, as the music got more primal, the lyrical content actually had way more layers of the onion, and got a lot more cerebral,
Side note, I did paranormal research for 7 years.
No way. I love that. That's amazing.
I'll tell you some stories after the interview. I got some shit that will make your jaw drop.
Hear your stories, man.
Oh, these are legit. These are legit. How much growth musically have you seen this band and yourself go through up to the release of this new album? Or has it just been more of a personal growth for each of you guys involved with this?
Definitely there's obvious growth for everyone involved. Yeah, like obviously you get older and you start to get interested in topics that maybe before seemed a little too daunting or even square in a lot of ways. Like I was saying earlier, a lot of the earlier musical content was more on the base level, like party, roll hard and all that. And it just more immediate in that sense. And there's a lot of stuff on this album that is less is more as far as the musical approach, which created a lot more heaviness. There's some more down-tempo stuff that we're just kind of letting the drum beat really breathe with the guitar riff. So there's that aspect, but also like I said, the content of the lyrics became more cerebral and more deeper in emotion. Like, yeah, there's a song on there called Dark Matter, for instance, which came about. Mikey played this song for me. It was like really down tempo, almost like a trip hop drum beat, but with like Alice in Chains guitars on the top of it. The song's called Dark Matter. And I came up with the lyrics because of the imagery. The song originally reminded me of a dream that I had where I was in some place that was kind of like, it was very pastel, and it was beyond space and time from my understanding in my dream. I don't know why I knew that or how I felt that, but it was a bunch of family members who I had lost, who had passed on, but also current living family members. We were all together, and nobody spoke, but we were communicating with our thoughts like immediately. It was a really strange dream. It was so vivid, and it was like I could draw the place for you, and it just seemed like it was beyond space and time. And so I was like, how do I talk about this in a dream? Or I mean, not in a dream, but in a song. How do I capture that essence? And anyways, the best attempt was the Dark Matter song.
Do you like to do anything differently during the writing and recording process to help keep your mind fresh and open, to not let the music get still boring? I know this is two different things, but do you do anything differently that helps you out, maybe?
I think what my trick now is to just, there's this way that you could trick yourself into not thinking too much, like a way to be zen by under preparing, so that when you study too much for a test, you cram too much, and then you go and you take the test, you say, what did I just learn? I can't remember any of it. Yeah, but if you kind of just go in there with confidence, then your mind is clear in the moment, and you could pull off some pretty surprising results, or maybe the same, but just with less stress. You know what I mean? That was kind of my approach to this whole thing. Fly by the seat of the pants, just have some faith in the moment. Know that if you start being dishonest with yourself in the moment, then you need to start over, and you're barking down the wrong tree, barking up the wrong tree. It was all those kinds of things, and so I guess it was lucky that we had no preconceived notions about what we needed to do. It was such a fresh start. It was such a clean slate that we weren't backed into any kind of corner. So I feel like we were lucky in that sense, and it allowed me to not overthink anything.
What can fans expect at a show from the mighty 9Electric, who have not got to see you guys live as of yet? What are they going to get, Ron?
It's going to be intense. It's going to be a hell of a show. We have a new drummer, Caleb Hill. He's a basher. He's got long, crazy arms, and he's a Southern fella like yourself, just a gentleman and an amazing guy. And right now he's a teacher at Musicians Institute in Hollywood.
Nice.
And so he knows his shit. He's well versed in that. But ultimately, he wants to jam. He wants to jam hard. So it's good to welcome him to the team. And yeah, I think we're really going to have a hell of a show when we take this on tour.
I love hearing about musicians who also are teachers. They also want to give back and help folks to make their dreams come true, just like theirs.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really excited that we're working with Caleb, and that, like, if I actually did for a while. I taught guitar and bass when I still lived in Phoenix, and like a lot of the students I still am friends with today. This was quite a while ago. That some of them surpassed me right away. They're just like kid geniuses, and I'm like, hey, you're kind of wasting your time coming here, because you got to show me how you did that. And that's probably like the proudest you could be as a teacher, when these people just school you. It's like, all right, you passed the torch on.
That's awesome, though, man. In your own opinion, what does 9Electric bring to the table for music that's not out there, if anything, possibly?
That's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of shit out there, huh?
A lot.
What does 9Electric bring? What does this new album bring? I think maybe it's the matter of intensity. We want to bring back the intensity of real rock and real performance. And I think that a lot of times stuff is a bit overproduced and a little too safe, because everyone's trying to think of, okay, what do I do to get my foot in the door? How do I get on the radio? How do I do that? And I think we did a lot of that overthinking in the past also. And for this run, what we brought to the table was just kind of like, let's make music that we would really like ourselves, and be honest with ourselves. And I think we really did that. So are other people doing that now? Of course they are. I'm sure they are. But I think that we would like to be known as proponents of bringing back that conservation of that mentality. Like, get real, let stuff be a little off the rails. And I think that a lot of the lyrics are maybe a bit more introspective than a lot of what's going on right now. I definitely went to a lot of really uncomfortable places to dig out this stuff, you know.
And you guys also want to know how to get John the Bod on the record. I also heard rumors about that. You know?
How did we get you up in here? You know what? If I run into you anytime soon and we could get some cool recording of you, we'll put it somewhere on the next one.
I'd be like, well, goddamn.
Just remind me. Yeah, we'll put a sample of you doing some fun shit somewhere.
Thank you, good sir.
I am so down for that. We'll figure out how to include you. This is a collaboration now.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Is there a country that stands out or even shocks you that 9Electric gets support from, or even the music gets played in that area? If you've noticed the Spotify stuff and things like that, if you noticed it.
Oh, this was actually, maybe this was a little bit kind of early on in this band, but somebody gave me like a cell phone photo of a kid on a beach in Zanzibar holding up our album.
Holy crap.
And I just thought that's so cool, because culturally it's just, I never thought that I would expect to see a little kid pop in, like by name, and request my music in Zanzibar, like just worlds apart in so many ways. And his mom, I think, had some message like, thank you for your music, but also can you send more, because he's wearing this out on my ears, or something like that, talking about it, who just keeps playing it over and over. And it was really heartwarming to see. It was just stoked.
That is awesome. That is badass, man. When you can just, I don't care if it's just one person out of this whole universe that you can have your music affect. That's awesome.
It really is.
I wore out the Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction tape, the cassette tape.
I remember some of my earliest memories was trying to categorize the songs on that album, like what kind of music that was. I was like, it's like honey baby sweetheart music, but also like fighting music. Like how did they so well mesh the two? You know, because all the girls love it,
yeah, but
all the dudes love it. How did they do that?
And then I wore out the Metallica Black album, a cassette tape.
There's definitely some of the stuff, or at least moments on the new 9Electric, that have that sad but true, like big, giant, meaty drum beat, big open guitars that kind of just chunk through. And it was really cool to like just get to incorporate a bunch of our favorite stuff into, you know, what we do.
Is there a band for you, Mr. Underwood, that you would like to, that you would like to see 9Electric go on tour with, or maybe do an album split with, on your bucket list, maybe?
I listen to so much music and really have such a wide base. That's kind of hard to concisely answer. But, oh man, I know like Stone Temple Pilots isn't around, but obviously like the DeLeo brothers and Eric Kretz would be amazing to somehow work with. I mean, I'm just a fan of creative, the process itself. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's such a tough question to answer, man. And I mean, such a huge loss. I actually haven't even spoken officially or even posted about this, but Keith Flint would have been very high on the list, and Prodigy in general. I seriously cried when I found out he was gone. I remember my sister calling me upstairs because like MTV was on, and the Fire Started video was up on TV. She's like, and she calls me Rana, you got to get up here. There's some crazy thing on TV. And it was, you know, Keith Flint and his crazy mohawk and like his Stars and Stripes sweater. And I was like, it blew my mind. I was like a kid, and I was just like, this is going to change my life. I knew right at that moment, I was like, this is important and I need to take it in. And my sister was, you know, had the wherewithal to know how important it was going to be to me. So thank you, Stacy. That's my sister, Stacy. She turned me on to that group. Thank you.
I couldn't believe when I saw it. I was like, Prodigy now? What the fuck, man? I was dumbfounded. I was like, oh my God, this has got to stop. Stop.
Yeah, man. Crazy memories. But yeah, I mean, you know, obviously, I'm huge into electronic music,
Mm-hmm.
but I love jazz. I played bass on like a jazz blues artist. I did some session work and some live work with that kind of music. I'm all over the place. It's just it's a matter of like choosing your challenge, you know.
You may catch Ron playing some polka also with Weird Al.
That one I haven't delved into. Maybe that one's a little too predictable, but maybe I'm just I need to revisit it, you know. Polka.
Folks, you want to get out and check out 9Electric's new album that's going to be dropping March 29th. Megalith, that's going to be their new album. I like these guys. I like their music. I always have ever since I've got to dive into them for the very first time. They do not disappoint. I'm not just saying it because Ron's on here and he's a good friend of mine, but honestly, they're just really, really good stuff. So, Ron, how can folks stay in touch with you guys, buy some merchandise, this new album, tour dates when you go on tour? How can they do that, good sir?
I think the best way is to keep up with us on Facebook, 9Electric on Facebook, because Mikey, our guitarist, is the curator of that page, and he is on there nonstop. And he sometimes, to his detriment, tries to answer every single post or any anecdote or anything. He's very personable, and so that's probably the best real-time way to keep in touch with us. Facebook, baby.
Before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for my show?
You got it, man. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ron Underwood from 9Electric, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour, baby.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link, plus it has our YouTube link. Also, we'll have a Twitch link, hopefully soon. Also, get out and check out my brother's band, 9Electric. Get out and check out their new album that's going to come out here very, very shortly, Megalith. And also get out and check out their new video, The Light, featuring Carla Harvey from the Butcher Babies. You will not be disappointed. Ron, as always, man, love you. You're welcome on here anytime.
Love you too, man.
And best of luck to you guys as always.
Thank you, man. It's so far so good. I think we've got the number one added album on some radio chart. They just now told me that the text actually came in while we were talking.
Oh, that's awesome.
So far so good.
That is awesome. Thank you again for being on the show, my brother.
Thanks for having me, man. Talk to you soon.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.